What if your entire school life was actually a psychological battlefield, where making one wrong move could cost you your future? That's the world of Classroom of the Elite. And Season 3 takes that idea even further, turning friendships, loyalty, and intelligence into weapons. Season 3 continues the story of Kiyotaka Ayanokoji and Class D at the prestigious Advanced Nurturing High School. Here, students aren't judged by grades alone. Their class ranking, private points, and performance in special exams determine almost everything. The new season begins with a brutal mixed training camp. Students from different classes are forced to cooperate, while the weakest group faces expulsion. And that's the real hook. Nobody can completely trust anyone. Ayanokoji, meanwhile, remains the quietest player in the room. He rarely seeks attention, but behind that emotionless expression is someone constantly calculating what everyone else will do next. The best thing about Classroom of the Elite isn't its school setting, it's the mind games. Season 3 constantly asks one question: what are people willing to sacrifice to win? Friends, reputation, trust. Even their own classmates can become pieces on the board. Ayanokoji is especially interesting because he doesn't behave like a typical anime protagonist. There are no loud speeches, no classic shonen power-ups, and almost zero heroic glory. He simply watches. Then, when the perfect moment arrives, he makes his move. The season also expands the rivalry between Ayanokoji and Arisu Sakayanagi. Unlike a straightforward physical fight, their battle is about strategy, manipulation, and predicting the opponent. That makes even a simple conversation feel dangerous. A smile can hide a threat, and a friendly question can be a trap. Visually, Season 3 isn't exactly a Sakuga showcase. Lerche keeps the presentation relatively restrained, focusing more on dialogue, expressions, atmosphere, and character interactions than flashy animation. That actually fits the series. Classroom of the Elite doesn't need Demon Slayer-level spectacle to create tension. Sometimes, two characters sitting in a classroom can feel more intense than a full-blown anime battle. The soundtrack also plays an important role. Quiet moments, suspicious conversations, and sudden confrontations are given enough atmosphere to make the audience feel that something is always happening beneath the surface. But here's where the adaptation becomes controversial. Season 3 covers a lot of light novel material in only 13 episodes. Because of that, some character development and internal monologues are heavily compressed. And that's important, because Ayanokoji's thoughts are a huge part of what makes the original story work. Without those details, anime-only viewers may sometimes see him as nothing more than an edgy genius with plot armor. The light novel gives much more context to his decisions, and that's one reason. Hardcore readers are often harsher toward the anime adaptation. Still, the core story remains compelling. The special exams, class rivalries, betrayals, and constantly shifting alliances keep the tension alive. And the biggest hidden strength of the series is simple. Information is power. Knowing something your opponent doesn't can be more valuable than being stronger than them. Community Pulse. The anime community is pretty divided on Season 3. Many anime-only viewers still enjoy the mind games, Ayanokoji's presence, the major confrontations, and the overall story. AniLists currently lists Season 3 at around 78%, while Just Watch shows an IMDb score of about 7.710. But like naval readers tend to be much more critical. A common complaint is that the adaptation feels rushed. Fans have specifically pointed out skipped character development, compressed monologues, inconsistent character presentation, and the amount of material packed into only 13 episodes. So the general vibe is basically this: great story, questionable adaptation. If your anime-only Season 3 can still be a really fun psychological thriller. But if you've read the light novels, you may constantly notice what was left behind. So, is Classroom of the Elite Season 3 worth watching? Absolutely, especially if you enjoy psychological battles, manipulation, mystery, and characters who actually use their brains instead of relying on plot armor. But as an adaptation, it's far from perfect. Story, 8.5/10. Characters, 8. Visuals, 7/10. Animation, 6.5/10. Entertainment, 8.5/10. Final rating, 8. Season 3 proves that the most dangerous weapon in this school isn't strength,